Good morning, guys. Welcome to another video. We're finally doing some detailing on the E46 ZHP. Okay, so every time I do an engine bay, I feel like I overcomplicate things, and I feel like a lot of people think that too. So I'm gonna show you what I use. It's like extremely simple. I think pretty much anyone who washes their car at all can probably handle the engine bay easier than they think. Let's go through the products just for a minute, and then I will show you the engine bay condition, which actually is pretty bad. I was very surprised. The car is a clean car, but not owned by someone who really details it very much. So the engine bay is a place for most people that they never want to see, don't know how it works, and they never clean it. So what I like to do is actually just fill one of my older foam cannons up with a bunch of this stuff. And for me, it's easier because if you just spray, it doesn't really stay on the surface as much. And I find that I'm scrubbing the engine bay for quite some time. So it's nice to have a foam cannon on hand. You can also use like an IK foamer. When I lived in an apartment, I would use one of those and kind of do exactly the same concept here. But we're gonna be filling the foam cannon with a bunch of this stuff. One of those things is all-purpose cleaner. This is by Meguiar's. I think it foams really good, and this is $14.95. I actually bought this a while ago from, I feel like a truck store. This was like when I had my Jeep. Believe it or not, I've had it that long. So that's really cheap, foams really good. And then I also throw in some tire and rubber cleaner, really just because I have it, but also there is rubber in the engine bay. So the all-purpose cleaner is great, but you might as well, if you're gonna be scrubbing it, throw some tire cleaner in there. And then also, just to make sure it foams and kind of stays thick enough, you can mix in any of your favorite detailing soaps, your car washing soaps. Adams is my go-to for the paint. And then I have this stuff from MTM, which I can't stand the smell. It smells like cough syrup, to be honest with you. So I don't really use it that much, but something like an engine bay, it might make sense to just throw in here because it doesn't really make a big difference. The last thing that I'm gonna show you product-wise is CarPro Pearl. This is literally probably one of my favorite detailing, liquids. This, and I have a couple other ones that I really, really love. So this is a fresh bottle, and that's gonna be like the dressing. And this is water-based, it dilutes really well. You have like total control over how shiny or matte you want your engine bay to look. And I use a combination of the regular tire applicator, so I spread it on, and then I put some on this, like a cheap microfiber, and then I just wipe it through. So I'll show you guys that process too. Last but not least, which we kind of skipped, I just literally grabbed these out of my tire detailing bucket. These are just easy detail brushes, the large and the small. And then this is a wheel mitt, lambskin from Matt at Obsessed Garage. This is probably one of my favorite detailing brushes because you can put your hand in it like this. It's still wet from yesterday, which is kind of gross, but you can put your hand in it, especially on an engine bay, just use the gravity and just scrub away. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to use anything else. So let's go to the engine bay and check it out. It's pretty nasty. All right, here's the engine bay. In my very first video, I showed this. It was pretty disgusting, and it's still very nasty. The very first thing we'll notice, which is not necessarily related to this video, but it is kind of exciting, is that this power steering cap was leaking prior. And as you can see, this is bone dry, and it was not bone dry before. So I put a new cap on, and I also put a new gasket on it. There's a gasket that goes in the cap too. So perfect. That was like a $9 fix. E46 is very budget friendly, so that fixed my problem. So anyways, that's really good news. So as you guys can see, the engine bay is just absolutely filthy. Also, we have the hood, which has not been detailed at all either. This should be perfect for that little wheel brush that I showed you, the wheel mitt. And I'm not sure what we're gonna do about this. It looks like you can take it off, but I don't know in this video if we're gonna do that because I really just want to get this to acceptable standard, and then if we want to perfect it later, I hate to do stuff twice, but if we want to perfect it later, we'll deal with that. So Alright guys, so we got the E46 inside. I actually am doing a wheels off detail at the same time as the engine bay. I usually like to do like the dirtier surfaces first and then kind of work my way to the paint, because the last thing you want to do is get your car nice and polished and, you know, get it perfect, get a coating on it, and then clean your disgusting wheels that haven't been cleaned in 10 years and get like water spots and all kinds of nasties on the paint. I should mention, I actually posted a story on Instagram of me foaming the engine bay, and I guess I just forgot how people get a little freaked out by that. When you spray water or you foam or any sort of liquid enters the engine bay, people get very scared. But if you look at the E46, it's actually set up a lot like modern cars. A lot of stuff is protected, there's covers, there's no exposed intake or anything. You know, that is something that you're gonna wanna look for. If you do have a car that has an exposed intake or any sort of area, you know, an alternator, don't spray water right in the alternator. Keep it a couple feet above, and it's probably not any different than driving through a big rainstorm in like Florida. Okay, so the next step here after the engine bay is nice and dry. It actually cleaned up really good. The one thing I am noticing now that everything's clean is that this plastic is, you know, it's seen better days, especially compared to the other ones. You know, I got a couple fresh caps here, so this thing just, I should have got another one for this probably as well. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna put something called Solution Finish. This is a trim restorer. A lot of people like to use like CarPro Pearl. CarPro Pearl is not going to get this back to black. None of that stuff is. The silicone-based dressings, they're just dressings. In a day or a month or whatever, it will go back to this. So this actually dyes the plastic. I don't think it's necessary to do the whole engine bay. Actually, this area looks like it could use some as well. So this is expensive, but obviously you get a lot. All right, get your Solution Finish. I love this stuff. This is a staple for serious detailing, or not serious, depends how you feel. All I use is like a little shop towel and do this little thing, and that's all we're gonna use right now. See how far it gets us. This is actually dyeing the plastic, like it's dyeing it black. It's not just a dressing like CarPro Pearl or all that stuff in AutoZone. Like that is literally a waste of time. So we're gonna do this. It's definitely gonna help. The question is how long. There we go, get that out of the way. If you're really crazy, you can get a Q-tip, but this is a, you know, daily driver, so I want to balance my time. I don't want to be spending my whole life detailing this E46, although it is pretty fun. So know your limits. This is like a little chat session with you guys, apparently. But yeah, all right. So let's get this in there. It's weird that this is faded, but I guess it's just sort of a heat thing. It's heat cycle because the engine gets hot. I don't really know. But these plastics, they look fresh. The previous owner did a crap ton of work. He probably put 10 grand over 10 years at least. That actually doesn't sound like that much, but full suspension and cooling system, plugs, all kinds of stuff. So there we go. So this does look a little uneven, but it's gonna dry, and then after it dries a little bit more, I will buff it off. So it's not gonna look exactly like that. Hopefully I'll get a good shot for you, but the rest is CarPro Pearl. As I mentioned, it is just a dressing. I don't dilute this stuff. I literally just kind of move it all around. I know this might be too glossy for some people, but I put a light layer just with the applicator, and I just do it quick, as you can see, and just kind of do the surfaces that you see. Do this, because I'll show you what I do after. Bro, all the dirt's gonna stick. No, this looks fresh, super fresh, so I don't know cooling system looks pretty fresh. I think it's newer. This car is like, for like $4 grand, this is like the best car I've ever bought, I think. All right, so I told you guys to wait for the next step. I get a nice microfiber, put a little on there, and then this I find levels the dressing, and it also kind of spreads it a little even, you know, in the areas that I might have missed because the little applicator doesn't fit. So this is what I do. I know it looks like he's like just slapping it on there, but it's just one of those detailing things. It doesn't look as cool when you apply it. So, I mean, I like it. I love freaking Carpo Pearl. It's the best. It's so flexible. So, and the good thing is, there's a little dirt, you can just kind of buff it off, no problem. You know, this, like I mentioned a bunch of times, you know, this car, I'm not trying to get perfect, but I want it to get up to, you know, it's a sweet car. I want it to look cool. Look like I'm taking care of it the right way. There's no secrets. There's no, ooh, shit. This needs to be detailed. Shoot. Another day. That's annoying. There's always something. All right. And we will level this little guy right here. Oh yeah. That's freaking perfect. Yeah. That looks freaking brand new. We'll see how long it lasts. That's the question. All these people put this like silicone junk on it, and they're like, oh look, it's black. Well, not for long, buddy, not for long. All right, guys, the engine bay is finally done. Holy crap. That actually wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. I'll just give you a close walk around here. This looks much nicer. There's a little bit of residue still there, but I actually did end up using the solution finish on this cowl up here. And yes, I know we have some cracking, which is very typical for any car, I guess over 10 years, but this one is 17 years old. That is something on the E39, E46, any car that is a little bit older, that is something natural. So, you know, unfortunately, you have to pull off the wipers in order to replace that. That'll be a future video if I end up doing that, but the rest of this looks really good. It's a little scuff right here from something, but generally, engine bay is good, daily driver. I'm really happy with it. The plastics are nice and smooth and black, and everything looks like proper. So when you pop the hood, which I probably will never ever do, the engine bay looks good. The hood as well, the top of the hood I detailed. This sounds really weird. I didn't really mention this as I detailed, but I actually detailed the engine first, and then I do this, and then I just rinse it all off, because what I've done in the past was I would detail this first because I was thinking, you know, top to bottom. But after you get this wet, you're working here and it's literally dripping all over you. So I just don't like doing it that way. I prefer to do this first, keep this dry, and then work on this, and then just rinse everything in the very end. So that is my advice to you. Engine bay looks really nice. What's nice is the plastics are mostly in really good shape. So there's a couple things like this little piece right here. You know, it's an old car, so there's gonna be like little random plastic pieces that break. So that's an easy fix. A couple other things here and there, but generally looking good.